Kill her, Mommy. Kill her. Boy, is he dead too?
Do you like maps? How about a detailed hand-drawn map that reflects your favorite people, places, and things? Visit Cartograph Me on Instagram or Facebook and see the possibilities and the works of artist Philip Bailey. Remember, Cartograph Me, putting you on the map. How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Jesus, 2 years? Put that stake down and damn it, pull your pants up. The Lighthouse starts now.
Tell me, what's a timberman want with being a wiki?
Just looking to earn a living, just like any man. Starting new.
On the run. Keeping secrets, are you?
No, sir.
Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Stop the prime time, bitch!
Long live the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
It's Xylia.
And this is the no smoking sign on your cigarette break, Mike.
And we have a very special guest with us, friend of the podcast. I know everyone's missed him. Colton in the building.
I guess you guys were fond of me lobster, I suppose. But no, thanks for having me back.
Friend of the show, wonderful human being, talented, amazing. We love him.
Wow, you guys are far too kind.
And never tell him that he has bad cooking.
Oh my god, no. I'll start off on my Shakespearean monologue right now.
A true soliloquy.
Yeah, oh, really, though?
So, last time you visited us, it was for The Vitch, which Xylia did not make.
She fell asleep halfway through, and she never wound up on the show.
She claimed she wasn't feeling well, but I think...
Can we also point out the kind of uncanny timing of both of the appearances? Because last time that you were on, it was when everything was just locked down.
Yeah.
We were all in like a tailspin because we didn't know what was going on in the world. And this time you're on, it's not as bad for them, but for us, everything is now locked down again here in Newfoundland.
Yeah, for us, it's a fucking nightmare. So when I was watching this movie about two dudes stuck in a lighthouse, I was like, all right, this hits a lot harder than when I watched it in 2019. So
I'm not gonna lie, like I felt a pit in my stomach the whole time of like recognition.
Yeah,
I was like, I am both of these dudes.
Yeah, just like the timelessness of it all is just, oh man.
And the last time, this time last year, we were like super locked down and you guys weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I made a joke. Yeah, I made a joke at the end of the podcast. I said, "Oh, I'm COVID Colton or whatever," because it wasn't a big deal here. And now it's like, "Oh man, that's just the worst joke."
Yeah. Didn't age
Things
well.
that didn't age well.
No, not at all.
Although we've been locked down so much that, like, I know after watching this movie, I was just kind of like, is this supposed to be weird?
I know,
or...
I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
my God, when they were, like, running around and just, like, literally drinking entire bottles of whatever the fuck they were drinking and, like, seeing mermaids and shit, I was like, this is literally a Tuesday night for me. Like, like, 4 days a week, I'm just like, okay, here goes another bottle of wine. Like, I got nothing else to do but drink and play video games and hallucinate. Yeah. Like,
hang out with mermaids.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so funny that, like, the timing of picking this, I don't know if it was on purpose. I don't think it was, but because I mean, we were gonna do it anyway after your last appearance, but it's just, oh man, like, yeah, it brutally strikes a nerve. It's almost, it's hysterical. It's blackly comic how perfectly timed it is.
Yes, for sure. Darkly comedic, untimely.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start off, Colton, why don't you tell us what you've been up to? I don't know. God. You've been watching any good movies? Just anything, man. What's life been like?
I mean, the last year, for everyone's been pretty shitty, so I'm in the same boat, it's the type of thing where I had some things going for me and, like, school-wise, and then COVID kind of took the wind out of those sails. So, yeah, I've been kind of just regrouping, stuck in lockdown here in Newfoundland and watching some movies and stuff. The best things I've probably seen over the last year was, like, I really liked Minari, which was, like, a little Korean-American movie. It's really good. Saint Maud, I watched a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, you're horror fans, but...
It's on my list.
It's on our list, especially since our cat's name's Maud, so...
Oh, perfect. No, that was really good. That's one of those for sure you guys gotta watch. And, yeah, it wasn't the best year for movies, so I don't have too much to say about it. I went to the theater, like, once or twice, but it's just a shitty year for that.
I still haven't been to a theater since everything locked down a year ago.
I went to Tenet, I think. I think we were, like, allowed to go see Tenet in August, and I went, and, yeah, it wasn't even really worth going to see, so.
Didn't you go see Tenet as well?
Yeah, me and a friend went and saw Tenet, like, right before they shut the theaters down here as well.
I guess that was really, like, the only movie out at the time.
Yeah, because it was such a huge deal. Like, I think they really wanted that to be the, like, big release that, like, kind of saved the reputation of going to a cinema in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's already on sale at Walmart because they have about 100 copies.
It had the complete opposite effect. Like, literally, it did so poorly that all the studios were like, we're just going to start doing, like, digital, like, day and date digital for everything and probably not put them in theaters. It's just, yeah, no, Christopher Nolan almost killed cinema, I think, with that.
Funny how that works out, isn't it? Like, that's
it's brutal.
It's a real tightrope, though. Like, that was... He fell off of it. It's brutal.
For sure. Flat on his face.
We went to the theater last week before last.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. So that was our first foray back to the theater. And it was...
That's the first time I've gone since, like, 2019, and out of anywhere I've been since the pandemic, that's, like, the safest I've felt.
Yeah, they were
What did you guys go see?
We went and saw Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay, yeah.
And it was me. I really liked it.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it was a good watch. I saw that at the Sundance, like, online film festival there a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was really good.
I feel like super Oscar bait.
Yeah, God. Daniel Kaluuya, he's definitely going to be nominated for sure.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Oh, I think he just won a Golden Globe.
Oh, did he? Yeah, we're recording in the middle of the Golden Globes.
In the middle of the Golden Globes. Yeah, I just happened to open up my phone when we first started recording.
Okay.
Right before we started recording, and that was the thing at the top of my list was him and John Boyega won Golden Globes.
Well, that was actually the other one I was going to mention. Like, the Small Axe anthology. Not all of them worked for me, but I really liked Red, White, and Blue, which is the one with John Boyega. And then obviously the first one is really good as well. God, I forget the name of it now. It's the courtroom drama one that I'd usually know the name of, but with Letitia Wright and you know, a few other people in it. It's really good.
Really what Mike's saying is our thunder of the final 2-year episode's gone. This is now the Golden Globes episode where
just constantly checking who's winning all throughout now. Yeah, for sure.
Mike will go in a downward drunken spiral and just start screaming people that won Golden Globes.
And how is that going to be different from any other episode? Really?
This is 100% true. Well, let's get into our film this evening. And I think Colton was going to read the bio and do us the honors.
All right. Yeah, so The Lighthouse is writer-director Robert Eggers' sophomore feature following 2015's The Witch. And the Letterboxd bio reads as follows. There's enchantment in the light. 2 lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity while living on a remote and mysterious New England island in the 1890s. And of course, you know, there's not too much else to it other than that. You know, there's no curses uttered, no nights of debaucherous drinking, you know, no slow descent in the madness, you know, it's just a nice, tranquil movie, nothing to it.
Just the ticking of a clock, like,
yeah.
Counting down the days until they can peacefully leave and go back to their lives.
Yeah, no conflict whatsoever.
And probably the easiest film to just say there's 2 actors in it.
Well, there's actually 4.
4, excuse me.
Well, I think there's actually 6 because we catch a glimpse of the 2 previous keepers just walk by the camera right at the beginning, but like, yeah, I mean,
you're right, yes.
They're there for like, I don't know, a couple
20
of seconds. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, really notable Robert Pattinson. That's all we care about.
I mean, Willem Dafoe's pretty good too, you know.
He was
okay, so this is a pro Pattinson podcast, right? I'm just making sure. Okay. We like him around here because there's still people that think he's only acted in Twilight and that's it. So.
That's like one of
Can you imagine having that viewpoint and that take on either him or Kristen Stewart, who I'm gonna say right now are probably 2 of the most gifted actors of their generation.
Oh, they're both excellent. Yeah,
their filmographies are like astoundingly varied. Like even after they moved to like, you know, they're kind of like arty, critical, like they do everything. They do every type of movie, both of them. And it just blows my mind, like how they just constantly shift and like they still like, I'm going to say, I still don't think either of them gets the credit that they deserve.
Yeah. Like Pattinson is just such a chameleon. Like there's shots in this movie that just the way like the lighting and everything hits him, he looks like Daniel Day-Lewis. And there's performances by him. I go like, damn man, like he's not there yet, but who knows in another 5 to 10 years, like he could be. He's excellent.
I like that you said that because pretty much the main mental note in my head while I watched this was just Daniel Day-Lewis. That's all I thought about was giving me like Gangs of New York and There Will Be Blood vibes. Hard.
Yes, that's what I thought about. There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, when Daniel Plainsview like loses his mind near the end of There Will Be Blood, there's some of those, and this when, you know, in the latter half of the movie when Pattinson just loses his mind, you know, there's vibes of that for sure.
I think they definitely could have used a good milkshake monologue in this.
Bastard in a basket.
I agree. That's what I thought about as well, like in terms of Robert Pattinson and people being like, he only was in Twilight. Robert Pattinson kind of reminds me of Ryan Gosling in that way, that he was big for like The Notebook, but he actually has been in like really spectacular movies.
And I like that we say only in Twilight. We've already many times on the podcast discussed that the first Twilight movie is actually good.
Oh, Mike, remember the controversy on our live?
Yes. We need to do another one.
Yes.
The soundtracks for those movies are all A++++, though.
The first one is great. It has a lot of good songs.
I only watched them when they came out in theaters, so maybe it's time for a rewatch. I gotta say, I like them more like when I watched them back in the day, but I mean, it's been, what, like 10 years now, probably? Maybe more than that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like with a lot of things, you can revisit it from like a camp perspective and just, you know, kind of like give it that nostalgic, like rose-colored or like blue-colored tint to like, you know, go, yeah, this is trash, but I loved it, and, you know, it has a place in my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
I just feel like, kind of like you're saying, Colton, like, people are just really slow to get on the Robert Pattinson train. Like, I remember me and X seeing him in Cosmopolis, and, like, I was sold then. I was like, shit, he's good.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Like, yeah, the dude, like, it was funny. Like, I think one of the first things I saw him in, like, post-Twilight was, like, it was a small, like, Australian movie called The Rover. And I was like, man, he's killing it. Like, good on you, Robert Pattinson. And then it's like, I don't know, he's in The Lighthouse. He's in The Devil All the Time. He's in
Good Times.
Good Time, which, like, come on. Like, he's killer in that. Like, I don't know. The dude, just everything I've seen him in, he doesn't miss. Like, the movie might not be that great around him, but he's always really good. So it's like, yeah, whenever he's in anything, I'm so excited for it. And, like, he got so much hate for getting the Batman.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, Edward Cullen's gonna be Batman. Like, have you guys missed his career for the last 10 years? This dude has worked with so many talented writers and directors. He's amazing. Like,
also, no offense, there have been way worse Batman that nobody's batted an eyelash at. You know? Like, ugh.
And I mean, how can we complain? We get the Batman versus Green Goblin. So.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, this is great.
Period.
Which I was gonna say, like, William Dafoe is also someone that is just always good, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like he's been nominated for Oscars the last 2 or 3 years for movies I haven't seen. It's like a movie that gets no other nominations, just like a single acting nomination. Like, I think in The Lighthouse that year, I think he was also in like a Vincent Van Gogh movie at the time or something.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't see, but I was like, oh, he's definitely got to get nominated for The Lighthouse. Like, that monologue is pure Oscar bait. Like, they'd love to show that, like, as, you know, as it shows the nominee and you just see like half that monologue or something. Like, that'd be so cool. But it's just like, yeah, I got nominated for that Van Gogh movie I haven't heard of. The dude's, yeah, he's an amazing actor. Obviously, I know him as Green Goblin as well, though.
Yeah. Well, listen, it doesn't hurt to be the Green Goblin ever.
Oh, of course.
I'm just saying.
Now, the funny thing about this is I was 100% convinced. I said to Xylia, I was like, who submitted this as an option? And I thought for sure it was you.
No, I didn't submit it because I was like, oh, it'd be a little bit like masturbatory to be like, hey, I want to be back on this this podcast, so I'll pick it. So I feel like I picked The Thing because that's one of my like favorites of all times, and I couldn't believe you guys didn't do it. And
I know.
I did Happy Death Day to You just as like a meme, just because of the 2 in 2 years. That's But
yeah, so I had screenshotted everybody's response back when we had initially asked, and lo and behold,
a sweep, a 2-year anniversary sweep.
She got 2 on our 2-year. It was Cecily.
Oh my god!
Again,
2 for 2.
She's really come up since the days of Most Likely to Die.
I know.
Oh, please, don't act like you didn't love that piece of work.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Perez Hilton's next great piece.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're going to start with the Bechdel test.
Oh,
I have to
excuse me while I choke on my cider.
All right, Xylia.
At the thought of doing a Bechdel test right now.
Why don't you explain the Bechdel test, Xylia?
Okay, the Bechdel test is basically a measurement, non-scientific, as Mike likes to point out.
Typical man.
Yeah, typical man. To determine basically how one-dimensional women in film or any sort of visual media are. So the criteria are there 2 women in the movie? Do they talk to each other about something that's not about a man? Or romance or family? That's added. And what's the other?
Are they named?
Are they named is like the optional one. So, and then my addition is like the intersectionality component. So I have to say there's one woman in this movie and literally her sole purpose is to be the object of sexual desire. So yeah, no, this completely failed in all respects.
I was gonna say there's half a woman in this movie just from the waist up.
Right.
That's it.
Half a woman, half a fish.
And she doesn't talk at all.
No, it's like a squeal or
she
something.
Screams, it's like a banshee whale or or a siren whale, I guess, maybe, because I'm sure she's like a siren.
+1 for interspecies.
I mean, I guess it has.
That's
that
intersectional.
Yeah, exactly. That has that going for it.
Does intersectionality include fictional underwater
interspecies?
Interspecies. And there's the, like, carving of her, too.
Yeah.
That he just jerks off profusely to
off
a
to it
wooden
and
mermaid.
breaks in pieces and stabs. Like,
and, like, cries, basically. Yeah,
in a very subtle, gesture.
And
he's, like, stabbing her with his knife.
He's also wearing, like, a sou'wester at the same time, which I loved.
Yeah, I think the only mentions of women really in the movie are either to insult each other or to kind of basically be like, yeah, I had a wife once, but I don't eat her. Like, who needs some? So, yeah, it fails the Bechdel test with flying colors.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, is this our first time seeing the film? We'll start with you, Colton. You're the guest.
Of course, I got to come off as, like, the fucking film snob again here on the podcast. But, of course, I was at the North American premiere of The Lighthouse back on, September of 2019, So, just like The Witch, I was at TIFF, and, obviously I like The Witch, and, The Lighthouse was coming up, had Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe. I'm not going to miss out on that. So, yeah, I was at the North American premiere with all of them in attendance, and, with a Q&A and stuff afterwards, and I left the movie kind of being a bit confused, mostly because where I was seated in the audience, the acoustics were pretty bad. So, like, you had the harsh accents, but also it was like, I just couldn't really pick it out. Like, I think literally the first question in the Q&A was like, hey, are you going to release this with subtitles? And, like, Robert Eggers was pissed. He was like, no, I'm not releasing it with subtitles. Like,
it's so funny, though, because I was thinking, like, that accent has, like, hardcore Newfoundland fisherman written all over it, and, like, I'm like, man, like, it is really hard to understand.
Yeah, it was funny.
Like, I feel like our, living here is maybe the only reason that I understood anything that he was saying.
Yeah, I picked it up on the second viewing. It was just largely the first time I had some issues with it.
Yeah, I can see that. I will admit I watched it with the subtitles on.
Yeah, so did I. We did too, because I was like, I cannot understand what the hell is being said here.
Yeah, this was the first time I watched it with subtitles on, and I kind of regretted it in a way, because it kept saying, like, foghorn blares.
Yeah.
Seagulls squawk. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, I know that. Like, I need to know what this dialogue is.
Fart.
Yeah, farting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I liked it. But yeah, the first time I saw it was then at TIFF. Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
This was my first time seeing it. I've wanted to watch it forever. I remember when obviously, like, we loved his other movie. I was like, I obviously want to, watch anything else that he directs. And I remember when the trailer came out, I was like, holy shit, everything about this, like the cast, the visual aesthetic, the black and white, the location being, an Atlantic Canadian, it all sort of, like, really appealed to me. But for whatever reason, it's just one of those movies, because I'm really bad. Like, I have a list of things to watch that just keeps getting longer and longer, and the longer it gets, the less I actually watch. I get intimidated by my to-watch list. Yeah, right, exactly. So this was one of those that just, for whatever reason, I kept putting off watching. So then when we, we're going to be discussing it tonight, I was really excited, because I was like, this is going to force me to sit down and watch it, which I really appreciated. And so, yeah, this was my first viewing, and it's not going to be my last, for sure. I definitely want to kind of soak it up again, because I feel like all of his work, you need to, like, luxuriate in,
Yeah, this is definitely one that benefits from multiple viewings. I've seen it 4 or 5 times now. It's mostly like I take it to the theater with friends, and I'm kind of like, yeah, can you make this out? Or like, look how crazy this is in the last 20 or 30 minutes type of thing, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely one that gets better, and you definitely get more from it, I think, each watch.
Well, if you're going to watch it more, Mike, just make sure you stock up on tissues. So, this was my first time.
Yeah, this was my first time, too.
This
oh my god, look, a couple of marriages.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd bought this when it first came out. I bought it like the day it got released, because I was really worried that they'd only have a couple copies. I bought it like at the local Walmart, and I've just never watched it, because I was waiting. I was like, we're gonna review it this year. There's no way we're not gonna review it. I'll wait. And then that never came till now.
I love that you are, like, so naive about it. that you assume some Nova Scotian Walmart is going to sell out of an A24 Blu-ray. I have to get down there. They only have 3 copies. Like, I'm going to have to beat people off with like a baseball bat to get them.
Yeah, but it was filmed 2 hours from where we live.
Oh, that's true. Okay,
shit.
I'm being cynical. Sorry, guys. I'm being cynical. I'm just being an asshole.
No,
they had.
When we first moved home, we were at Rowan's parents' house for a few days, and they live like about an hour away from where it was filmed, and like nobody would have cared about the movie otherwise, but they're like, oh my god, did you hear about this movie being filmed in Yarmouth, and Robert Pattinson's in it, and Willem Dafoe's in it, or that was filmed there. And so like people knew about it, so we didn't know if it was, fly off the new minus Walmart shelves or not.
No, I completely forgot that you guys were in Nova Scotia. Yeah, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, I have friends from Yarmouth as well, so like they were kind of keeping me up to date on like the Facebook groups. Like, here's a picture of Willem Dafoe in a Sobeys, like dressed like he's from the Lighthouse, or hey, here's these. We flew a drone near the lighthouse as it was getting built. So
that's
it was
awesome.
definitely like all the talk of the town for a few months there for sure.
Yeah, there's not much else going on.
What I was really excited for is because like everyone from here was really excited about it. Having like been a fan of his and The Witch and everything. Like I was like, I can't wait for all these like old people to watch this and just they're like, what the fuck is this?
Also, Rowan's parents, I'm not saying they're old, but they watched it. They watched it like when it first came out, and they were just like, what the fuck? And they were like, this is the most depressing movie we've ever seen in our lives. And then I watched it and I was like, it's really not that depressing.
Also, speaking of depressing movies that Willem Dafoe was in, clearly they never saw Antichrist. Like,
really, though.
I'm just saying. I thought about that a couple of times while I was watching this, and I was like, holy shit, he has been doing some real dark movies lately,
Yeah, that's all I ever think about when I see him. I'm just like, boy, I hope his penis recovered.
I was gonna say, is it sad that like all I can think about is like Willem Dafoe's genitalia?
I mean, what type of movie this is, it wouldn't have been shocking just to have like a quick flash of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start off with our favorite scene, and you can't say the scene with the lighthouse. We'll start with you, Xylia.
Okay, I have a couple favorite scenes as per usual.
Oh, here we go.
What does that mean?
Here comes the cop-out.
No, not at all. Oh my gosh. What do you think of me? Okay. Well, my absolute favorite scene is when Robert Pattinson or Ephraim, what was his name? What was
Ephraim Winslow.
Yeah, Ephraim Winslow / Thomas, Edwards or Thomas something? Thomas Jones? I don't know. Thomas something.
Thomas Howard. I got it written down here.
Yeah, I knew it was some sort of all that person in one is carrying the bedpans out to the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes to dump it out, but the wind just blows it back at him. And I just laughed out loud so hard.
And that
just
weird
something that would happen.
Yeah. I actually rewound that 3 times.
Oh, so good.
It was a brilliant little just cutaway moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I thought that was really funny. And then only because it was super random, but when also Robert Pattinson was talking about eating grass with no teeth, and I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? I found there was a lot of stuff like that was just what they said just was so random, but I liked it.
Yeah. I feel like that one in particular may have been a callback or something, to when they were oh, we all lost our teeth because we were so malnourished or something. We had to eat grass. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like when I was watching it with the subtitles on this time, I noticed that as well. And I was like, oh, was that a callback or this is just really random? So I'm not 100%. Yeah.
I was going to say, there was a lot of times when I just thought, this is the dialogue of somebody who's had several edibles.
Yeah.
But they're not eating very much, period, so,
It's hitting hard.
Yeah, for sure.
When the edible hits, all of Robert Pattinson's dialogue.
Why don't you go next, Colton?
Oh man, there's a lot of scenes I really like in this movie, but I cannot not say it's the scene where Thomas Wake, so Willem Dafoe is getting offended that Robert Pattinson doesn't like his cooking. That is easily, for me, the best scene, just where it's like, you know, oh, I thought you were fond of me lobster, you know, and he's screaming at him, or like, I know you were fond of me lobster, and then it starts off like this crazy long monologue where he curses him, so it's just literally like the most insane curse to ever be uttered, where it's just literally like, I'm gonna curse you until like your body, your bones, like every semblance of you doesn't exist anymore. And then finally it has that comedic beat of Robert Pattinson being like, all right, have it your way, I like your cooking. Yeah. Oh my god, it kills me. I love that scene.
I had that written down there too as well.
Yeah, it's so good. The whole theater erupted like when that happened.
When we watched it, Rowan was like, that's you.
That's how I feel about your cooking.
I mean, of all the things to get upset about at that juncture in time in the movie, you know.
How about yourself, Mike?
Okay, it's gonna sound bizarre, but the like whole scene where Robert Pattinson is masturbating.
I know what you're talking about. The fast cuts of everything, like the crazy montage.
Well, I was gonna say it was to me, it was probably one of the more intense like peaks in that movie. Mm-hmm. Like everything about it, like the like really, you know, that crazy stark lighting and the cuts and the music and like just everything about it was like I was like gripped, you know, not just like gripped womp womp. Like he had some good grip, but anyway. But everything, like to me, it kind of like encapsulated the like rising like insanity of the movie. And it's just like, and also, you know, there was this weird, like, maybe it's just me, but like that kind of like forbidden eroticism, because they kind of like hinted at things a couple times, and to me it was like the release, right? Like it was literally, and like in every way, like the tension of the movie was kind of like a moment of release. Before everything went to shit again.
Yeah,
I just loved the intensity of it, right? It was and that like the statue I thought was like a really cool little touch, and you know, him like breaking it and stabbing it, and as I was saying before we started recording, I was like, fucking like they could not have, it was very Sledgehammer subtle, like him taking that kitchen knife and like trying to stab that mermaid, right? But also the mermaid, like, yeah, it's just so crazy, right? Like it's this insane, so to speak, element of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a shot of like the lighthouse horizontal, and then it goes vertical really quickly. Like all of a sudden, like, you know, it's not incredibly subtle. Yeah,
no, it's very, very like they kind of took everything and cranked it up to like 20, and it was very, very extra. But I think that's what I loved about it, because it had been simmering for so long that I just really appreciated that it was like, okay, this is gonna be the moment now, like. He's beaten off. This is like, this is the moment of climax.
This is the moment I've been waiting for, Mike says.
Yeah, it's definitely the most artful masturbation scene I've ever seen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to say, because I did Google it before the scene was even done, I was on my phone Googling it. There was no frontal nudity, but apparently that was in the cards when they were like writing it and storyboarding it and shopping it, but apparently they were told, no, you can't have an erection because it will be NC-17.
Yeah, so the financiers apparently nixed it. He wanted to have like a shot of a match cut of like when the lighthouse goes erect. He wanted to cut from that to like, I guess, Robert Pattinson's dick erect or something. Yeah. Like he wanted to be even more like Sledgehammer.
Like, yeah, there's no subtlety here. Yeah. This is the parallels are undeniable.
Yeah.
The movie that could have been.
I mean, listen, I'll be satisfied with what we got, but sometimes, but as far as I'm concerned, these are things that you need to shoot anyway, and then leave on the cutting room floor, and then put out on the Blu-ray.
Exactly.
That's an extra everyone wants.
that's whatever. Man. That's you want to convince people to buy your physical media. Boom. Robert Pattinson's boner
gets its own heading in the Blu-ray menu.
Yeah, the dick cut. Yeah.
Yep.
What was your favorite scene, Rowan?
So mine was, I guess, you know, Mike was talking about the build-up. Mine was, I think, kind of the actual climax or release of the movie, where after he just beats the shit out of Thomas and then just, like, starts using him as a dog. Just because it was, like, really I didn't see it coming. It was just really out there. And then I got kind of worried because, I mean, it's no secret on the podcast that, you know, I like to watch the most fucked up horror movies I can find. And I just kept thinking, I'm like, oh shit, is this gonna get, like, way more fucked up than I intended to view this evening? And I mean, it didn't, spoiler, but I thought it was, like, really interesting, like, kind of like how quickly he just kind of submitted and then, you know, just kind of died in the hole.
Yeah, that's a question there. It's like the part, like the dog stuff, I mean, as I was watching it this time, like it made a lot more sense because it was constantly like, oh, his foreman up in Canada used to call him Dog, so he was fine with letting him die. And Willem Dafoe all the time is calling him Dog, so it's like I got it a little bit more this time, but I always found that scene like was a little bit like kind of what you're saying, Rowan, where it's really strange. Yeah, it's like the rest of the movie's strange anyways, but the fact like when he's like, bark, dog, bark, and like Willem Dafoe actually starts barking and stuff, like it's a little strange for sure. But like what follows it right after is a moment where I'm not sure exactly what happens because Willem Dafoe runs out of the hole and he's wearing clothes that aren't covered in dirt with an axe and cuts Robert Pattinson on the arm, and then Robert Pattinson just lumberjacks him, splits his head open. So I'm really not sure, like, maybe that's just supposed to be, like, metaphorical or symbolic, and he actually died in the hole. I'm not sure, but it's like, the movie's pretty meticulous with everything, so the fact that they, you know, if Willem Dafoe did crawl out of the hole and come back in, it'd be like, I think they would have dirtied his clothes, so I don't know, I'm a little bit confused.
Oh, yeah, that definitely seems like a deliberate choice.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that, like, when I'm watching it kind of bumps a little bit for me, but yeah, if it's purely symbolic, I'm fine with it, right?
Well, and at that point, too, I kind of... Because, like you said, I thought it was weird, like, when he comes with the pickaxe afterwards, and then I had started the questioning, because then I was like, well... maybe it's only one Thomas in this lighthouse.
Yeah.
And, like, this is literally just a projection that...
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, and he, earlier in the movie, suggests that. Willem Dafoe does. He, you know, says, like, maybe this is all in your head, essentially.
Yeah, he's, like, literally, like, maybe you're just freezing to death up in Canada and all this is imagined in your head type of thing. So, yeah, it's definitely put out there as well. This movie, there's a bunch of different interpretations of that stuff near the end, for sure.
I feel like he existed and that Robert Pattinson's now taking over, because once he died, Robert Pattinson then went on, like, to have a big, like, monologue that was similar to what he would have said before.
He sort of switched his personality, right? It's like, then at the end, he went from being that, like, kind of submissive and, you know, like Willem Dafoe at the beginning of the movie was, you know, like, oh, you're just, like, soft, essentially, and, you know,
like, incompetent. And... Yeah,
I think right after he splits Willem Dafoe's head, he, like, starts his little thing before drinking with, like, you know, the exact... same quote that Willem Dafoe always says right before they start drinking. I can't remember what it is, you know. The suppliant soul, and then he drinks like the turpentine with the bit of honey in it. But like there's a part earlier in the movie where Willem Dafoe tries to get him to say it and he doesn't remember it or he doesn't know it. So yeah, there is, like, at the end he's like an expert of saying it, and he also has a little bit of a harsher accent when he says it too. So like I said, I'm not 100% sure on what that means, but I definitely noticed it for sure.
Those rough Yarmouth seas change you.
They puts a little bit of salt in your hair and your beard.
I was gonna say a big thing when watching this that I thought was funny, because I know for a fact we had the same conversation with The Witch, is if I take anything away from this movie, it is yet again the sound design and everything that has to do with music or sound in this film. Like The Witch, just amazing.
Yeah, the constant foghorn blaring, like, all the time, just, like, I don't know, it's something, like, you obviously notice, but I feel like you notice it, like, subconsciously as the movie goes on. It's not front and center the entire movie, because that'd be incredibly annoying, but it's, like, always there. It's, like, oppressive the entire movie.
I have the exact same thing. I wrote that godforsaken foghorn, because at the beginning they said they're only there for 4 weeks, and I was like, okay, they must be there longer, because, like, 4 weeks they can do that. But after they had that foghorn going, I was like, oh my god, I don't think I'd make it 4 days. Like... I can't handle it.
Yeah, there's the one scene too where Robert Pattinson is in there like shoveling coal or something, and then it blares, and he comes out and he's like deaf and can't really hear what Willem Dafoe's saying. And it's
I was
funny.
gonna say that image of him like just coming out of it is so humorous.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I found too, like, they did a good job, I think, at the beginning with the foghorn, where there was a lot of times that they weren't using the foghorn effect, where I kind of had to, like, retune my ears, because I'm like, oh, is the foghorn still going, and I'm just not noticing it?
Yeah, it's just the aftermath of the sound. It's just ringing in your ears.
It was purely amazing.
Are you done with your favorite? I had another favorite. When he has him on those ropes and he's literally just sitting in a wooden chair. I was like, wow, that's very inventive. But I guess it was like the 1890s, so, that was the best it's gonna get.
Oh, so good.
Xylia always coming in with the favorite scene after we've passed the favorite scene section.
I have too many favorite scenes.
Again, maybe points were being made when he said, don't say the scene with the lighthouse.
I think also we kind of hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the episode, where definitely a timely watch in COVID. I think this is probably one of the better movies I've seen deal with the topic of isolation.
Yeah.
And just, the mental toll isolation can take on people.
Well, I just feel like anyone stuck in that lighthouse with Willem Dafoe, like working underneath them, would literally go crazy. Like Robert Pattinson does such a good job of just like conveying like how pissed he is the entire time, but he like won't talk up to him because it's a superior. And I mean, I'm sure none of us have been in a lighthouse, tending it, but we've all been in jobs where it's like, oh, my boss is like kind of useless and all they do is like talk down to me while I do all the work and never give you like any like positivity for it. So, yeah, I mean, I relate to Robert Pattinson quite heavily in this movie. Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, like what Rowan was saying with the COVID stuff, there's the timelessness of the movie, like where they're literally like, he's playing with Robert Pattinson saying like, oh, we've been here for weeks. It hasn't been just a day. It's been weeks. And it's just like, it's so disorienting to the audience too, because we're not 100% sure how long they've been there. Like, it's just, yeah.
I love how he smashes the clock.
Yes.
Because it's just like, what time doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, I was just going to say, we've all like worked in metaphorical lighthouses with Willem Dafoe.
Yes. For sure.
It's funny because like this movie and The Witch both sort of have that like same motif of like detaching yourself from society and kind of like being out in the wild with nobody but your immediate like family. Or co-workers to, and how maddening it is. And I feel like it was just funny that we did both of those during lockdown periods when we were at different points of being able to deal with it and like how are we going to react to it. And I find that is a really interesting thing going through these two movies, and that's kind of like I can't wait to see his next movie. But like I love that kind of like the madness of like isolation and the way that it distorts like your sense of time and your sense of self and your sense of other people. And it's really scary, but it's also like completely fucking disgustingly relatable.
Yeah.
And then you throw in like the drinking too, like them getting blackout drunk and shit all the time. It's just like, oh yeah, like I could completely understand how they don't know how much time they've been there,
I'm pretty sure I lost like a week and a half one, so I just like literally was drinking every night and staying up till like the sun came up and then passing out and then getting up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Jeez.
I mean, but listen, this was like during Depresso time when like literally everything was shut down and I had no job. What else am I gonna do but go for walks around the block and drink? Like and again, you just sort of need to, especially as the tension mounts and like irritation with your surroundings and stuff or the people that you're surrounded by, it's like you have no choice but to like drown it out with alcohol or whatever.
You got no choice to other than to get drunk and go up on a lighthouse and get naked.
Of course. That's
Period.
what we all do.
It's the standard, like, accepted practice. Come on.
I will say, too, that I thought I was going to be disappointed because, obviously, like I said, this was our first time seeing it, so I'd only seen the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think when I saw the trailers, I was expecting, like, kind of more of this, like, Lovecraftian monster. And I actually really wasn't upset with, like, the use of kind of that Lovecraft theme stuff. Like, I thought it was, like, very awesome that we just kind of got there's one or two, like, subtle hints to it, and that was it. Like, nothing else. Because I feel we always say when we're, like, talking about movies we're reviewing or just movies we see, like, it's so rare now for a film to just, like, never let us see what the monster is, or...
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to, you know, have a refreshing film that lets us use our imagination.
Well, it gives you glimpses of it halfway through.
Yeah.
Like, it has tentacles. And some
You
slime.
get tentacles, when they're up and when Robert Pattinson's like below and there's like some slime or semen, whatever's dripping down next to him. You see the tentacles there. And then it's also when Robert Pattinson's like beating up Willem Dafoe. It's kind of like it turns into the foreman from Canada and then turns into the mermaid. And then it turns into like Willem Dafoe in full like sea monster appearance, you know?
Yeah.
And then the tentacles kind of come up behind his back or whatever, you know? But yeah.
I didn't even notice the tentacles, actually. I was so focused on, like, the coral on his head.
Yeah, it's when it cuts back to Robert Pattinson, he kind of winds up for, like, a big punch. You can see, like, they kind of, like, come out behind Robert Pattinson's back.
Okay, interesting.
And,
yes, that was very Lovecraftian, you're right.
For sure. And the trailers really play up that aspect. Like, there's tentacles in the trailer, and it's just, you know... I only watched the first teaser trailer from Cannes because I was like, oh, I'll definitely watch this. This looks sick.
Yeah,
but my friends were telling me, like, oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be Lovecraftian. Like, you know, there's tentacles all over the trailer. And, like, going in, like, that is what you're led to believe 100%.
Yeah, well, and I feel like I'd have to rewatch the trailer, but I feel like there was more tentacles in the trailer than...
There's CGI a few in.
Yeah, like, just put a few in here. But like I said, it was very interesting, like, and you definitely could feel the Lovecraft influence, like, just throughout the whole film.
I definitely agree with you because there is a creature and you do get glimpses of it, but really the horror aspect is just, like, the psychological aspect of it.
Yeah, the monster is kind of the happiest part of it, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too, with the movie. It's like, I'm not even 100% sure if it's a monster in it or if Thomas Wake is just like a god or something, you know, like a god of the sea.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm not sure if it's literally like they're both crazy. Like at its like if you just boil this movie down, it could literally be like two men sitting in a lighthouse. One of them is like a recovering alcoholic who literally goes back to booze midway through and just loses his mind type of shit, right?
Yeah.
And like you can leave everything else to be like, oh, that's just metaphorical or symbolic, but there's so much other stuff to the movie too, with like when you get into like mythology and stuff with the Prometheus references and like, you know, the stealing the light,
St. Elmo's fire,
St. Elmo's fire, like,
you
know, the like Rowan kind of mentioned the time and mentioning like, oh, maybe it's the same person. And that's like when I was watching this time, I was like, man, there's a lot of things set up here that it could just be the same person. Like it could literally just be almost like Robert Pattinson here dealing with his grief, and he's like Thomas Wake is like an extension of his subconscious, because it's like when he finally spills his beans and says like what he did up in Canada, like Thomas Wake isn't even there. And then it like it's really artsy, like it shows like Willem Dafoe standing naked and like light comes out of his eyes and like shines on Robert Pattinson and it shows Robert Pattinson like fearful and running away and stuff. It's like it's just very strange the way it's done. Like it could almost be just like one person trapped in purgatory trying to atone for their sins, or at least trying to admit like, hey, I'm a shitty person. Even like there's so many different ways this can be interpreted.
That's a good point. And like, what's the chances that they're both named Thomas? I know that was a really popular name at the time, but I
mean, it's like a significant plot point when you think about it. Because again, you know, there's not a lot that happens, you know, in quotation marks, but like, you know, when he goes, because he makes such a big deal out of like, call me by my name, and then a half hour, 45 minutes later, it's like, that's not my name.
That's not my name. Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of revelation is a bit significant, and the fact that it's the same name as Willem Dafoe is, it's
weird.
It's very significant. Yeah.
At the Q&A, Robert Eggers, he wouldn't answer it, but someone did ask him about like the significance of them both being named Thomas. And he said that there was like a historical text from Lighthouse Keepers where two of them in fact had the same name. And I think he thought that was like an interesting point to weave into the movie. He would not comment, obviously, on like what it means or like if they're the same person. But there was like a historical account of like, hey, there was two Lighthouse Keepers with the same name that were on the same post. And, I can't remember if they went crazy or not because he covered a bunch of different stories. But yeah.
And he does focus several times on the book. The logbook or whatever, or the Lighthouse Keeper's logbook. So that's really interesting knowing that.
And I was going to say also, like, great touch, too, with never letting us actually see in the notebook.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, like, always obscured. You can't really read what's in there. You just got to take their word for it.
Yeah. I was going to say, he had read, like, what it said, but...
I thought I'd be very disappointed, because, like, especially once he got his hands on it, I was like, yes, finally, I can see what's in this. And I think from seeing the book, towards the beginning, I thought for sure, I'm like, this is gonna be like The Shining or something, where it's just gonna, like, have the same thing written over and over again.
There's a scene in this that I literally was like, this reminds me of The Shining. It's when...
I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah, he has the axe and he's limping and he's, like, chasing him. I was like...
I did
100%.
write that in there. Yeah. I was like, clearly, there, it's one of those, like, influences that you can't escape. Yeah. So I feel like they kind of, like, acknowledged it and said, okay, here we go. Like, let's move on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I love that. I love that there is, that element in it, because...
Yeah. I mean,
it's such a great story. It's such a great, again, an isolation
story. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, now I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to do a viewing series now over the next couple weeks of, like, isolation movies, and maybe, like, watch The Shining and see, what kind of... In the world that we're living in now, what kind of feelings would I have watching it?
That's gonna be your descent into madness. You just like watch all these like isolation movies, and you start thinking it's real.
Wonder what happened to me. You're not even gonna have to wonder what happened. This is it right here. This is like me punching in my ticket and getting on that train. And there's no coming back.
You start thinking that movies are real life, and
Yeah.
I want to pull at the Shining thread a bit, I guess, because now it might just be me. So whenever, I don't know why, I don't know if maybe it was around the same time that I kind of watched both films. So whenever I think of Robert Eggers, I always think of Ari Aster. I don't know. Maybe the A24 connection.
Yeah, I think it's it's hard to talk about one without talking about the other. They're both doing these prestige horror movies for A24. So.
Yeah, they're very, like, auteur,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I think about them, I think about the influence of Kubrick on both 100%. Of them.
Yeah.
Like, but almost like now, as I was watching this, I was thinking about, like, kind of very different. And I think maybe I'm wrong about it, but like, to me, I always found the biggest difference was Eggers always reminded me more of Kubrick on the fact that everything seems very deliberate, very, like, precise, pristine. It's not the right word for it, but, like, I almost want to say Eggers always reminds me of someone that would be, like, very trained.
He's meticulous.
Very meticulous, where, like, even though Ari Aster also gives me those Kubrick vibes, he always seemed, like, a little more, like, organic to me.
Sloppier.
A little...
Not in a bad way.
But he's also, like, Kubrick was really into very detailed, but so is Ari Aster.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think that's what I'm getting at is just, like, this very meticulous... I can't really think of many other horror directors like them.
Yeah, they both definitely get compared to Kubrick quite often. It's funny that you think of Ari Aster as, like, the heightened one a little bit, because I think he actually went to, like, AFI film school, which is, like, a big, like, it's up its own ass, that film school is. Whereas I can't recall off the top of my head if Robert Eggers went to, like, a top 2 or 3 film school. Like, I feel like he kind of, like, made his bones off of making a short and then kind of getting recognized that way.
Yeah.
So so it's funny, like, because like Robert Eggers is, you know, he might be less trained. I'm not 100% sure.
I was gonna say, like, and I knew when I was, you know, thinking about it, I was like, that's probably the case. I don't know why I would think that. I also think it might be because, like, whenever I've seen interviews with the two of them, whenever I think of Ari Aster, like, I mean, it's pretty well documented now, like, Ari Aster, like, writes very, like, from feeling, from where I think the Eggers thing always gets me is I think he's just, like, he's very interested in, like, history. He, like, gets influenced by these stories.
That's a good point, yeah.
I feel like it's just not as much of, like, a feeling into it himself as, like, I'm gonna make this dope-ass movie about, like, 1800 lighthouses.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, Robert Eggers is very, like, literary. Like, he cares about the way the words are written. He cares about the historical, like, importance and, like, exact, like, everything has to be exact in the way it was, right? Like, he spent $50,000 making the light for this lighthouse so it could be period accurate. Like, the lighthouse was built functioning. It shines 16 miles out to the sea. Like, he's weird like that. Where Ari
and those
Aster,
accents in The Witch, right? Like,
yes, and I mean the accents in this too. Like, that shit's hard to write. Where Ari Aster, like, he's writing more modern movies.
Yeah.
Where it's like very much like the first one's like Hereditary is clearly about dealing with the loss of a loved one. You know, Midsummer's obviously dealing about the loss of loved ones, but also, like, a shitty relationship, right? It's like a breakup movie that's, like, you know, prolonged.
They're very much, like, Freudian, like, projections of, like, the subconscious of his. That's what I think of it as, like, you know.
Yeah, no, I can see the difference.
It's a bit sloppier, like, but it's because it's, like, more
raw, I guess. Or
raw, yeah, exactly.
And like I said, the title on the bow, I guess I'm just happy to know that I'm not the only one that, like, whenever I think about Robert Eggers, I think about Ari Aster. It's just like...
No. And you mentioned it with Kubrick, too. Like, in the Q&A, he mentioned straight up, like, he's inspired by Kubrick, like Eggers is. But he also mentioned Ingmar Bergman is a much bigger inspiration of his.
I am not gonna lie, I saw Bergman all over this one in particular.
Yeah, he said, like
the
this
black
one
and
for
white
sure.
photography and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Yeah. It was very, like, Seventh Seal, like,
Yeah,
for sure.
he said it's like a huge... Like, there's actually an A24 podcast, I think, where you can listen to Ari Aster and Robert Eggers talk. And I think half of it is literally them just talking about Ingmar Bergman. They're big nerds about
I love
Bergman.
it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, Mike, I really, really loved, like, the black and white. I loved the aspect ratio. Like, very awesome choices.
And see, I normally can't physically watch movies that are black and white because I have an issue with my eyesight and, like, super high contrast, so I find it really difficult to, like, see what's going on. But this one was also almost, like, on a grayscale, so it made it a bit easier. Yeah, so this will probably be the top rated black and white movie I've ever seen. So
that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, because it is the type of thing, like, my sister, for example, she's a huge Marvel fan. She watched all of them recently, but when WandaVision, the first episode, was black and white, she was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm checked out. I can't do it.
Yeah.
There's lots of people like that. I'm not gonna lie, like, it is, like, most of the time I'm more in the mood for a color movie. But this is just, like, the black and white, like, really works. It's like I think they used, like, 1930s lenses, of course. They used period appropriate film, of course. Like, it looks like an old ass movie when you're watching it, just with modern day acting, which when I watch those old movies, that's usually one of the things that kind of bumps for me. They're always overacting. They're acting like stage acting a lot of the time, right? Where this is, like, still, I mean, subtle might be the wrong word for it, but it is like actual acting, I guess, right? Like, it's, you know, modern acting.
What is it? Acting for the back row or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm gonna say, I think, bring it back to Pattinson one more time, probably the best acting I've seen from him.
Yeah, I'm kind of racking my brain now. He's really good in this. I mean, Good Time is a bit different, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. The dude's killer in this for sure. Yeah, I mean, Willem Dafoe is the showier role, I think, because he gets more monologues. But, like, yeah, I mean, he holds his own. Robert Pattinson does for sure.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it was just, like, I guess Dafoe didn't necessarily surprise me.
Yeah, fair enough.
I thought they both did a spectacular job, like, acting. My only kind of pet peeve, it wasn't really a pet peeve, but just something I noticed that seemed inconsistent to me, was for most of the movie, like, I knew it was set in New England. Most of the movie, I was like, couldn't really place Robert Pattinson's accent. And then when he gets really, like, excitable about something towards the end, it becomes really clear that it seems like he has a Boston accent.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I got too.
Yeah, and then it kind of goes away again. So I wish it was more consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if everything was sort of playing out more literally, if it wasn't him again, because he's like has this weird shift in his identity and like he's being deceitful, and I was like, is changing his accent also part of it? And like when he gets more excitable, is that like, you know, is that another aspect of himself that he is hiding that's coming out near as he's cracking up more? I don't know.
Well, there's only one specific part though where he's excitable, I guess is what I would say, that it really comes out. I find there's other scenes where he's also elevated, but I didn't notice the accent at that point. So to me, it struck me as not intentional.
Yeah, I definitely noticed there is the one scene, as soon as you said Boston accent, I could place it like instantly. Yeah, he's talking about like some whorehouse or Kennedy house or I don't know. He says house for sure when he's talking in a Boston accent. I know what you're saying. And the dude's gotten kind of flack sometimes for dropping his accent. Like in The Devil All the Time, I remember they wanted him to work with an accent coach, and he's just like, nah, dude, I got it. And he has a really weird accent in that movie. I mean, he doesn't drop it, but it's very strange. So I don't think Robert Eggers would let him get away with not seeing like a vocal coach and like an accent person. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would default to a Boston accent though. The guy's British, isn't he? I think he is. Yeah, it's weird choice. Yeah, I don't know.
Now I know
because Boston accents are so hard to pull off.
Well, I was gonna say I only briefly kind of read over it, but I know I saw that Eggers like kind of praised him because he said Pattinson himself went and found someone that tried to train him in a Maine accent from the time period.
Okay, that's interesting. But to me, because I've seen stuff about that, because it's like a maritime, not as in like Canada, but like a maritime as an ocean kind of North Atlantic accent. But to me, it doesn't sound like Maine.
So, well, and I'll say, I know the contrast was that he kind of, and I believe it was kind of Pattinson's decision, from what like I said, I just kind of skimmed it, but it was saying that Eggers like really liked that he kind of was willing to go that in depth, and he was like, oh, I think this character is like from Maine.
Okay.
And that William Dafoe purposefully didn't do the same accent, and William Dafoe wanted to have an Atlantic fisherman accent.
He sounded like a pirate, like, kind of deal.
Oh, it was very salty dog,
yeah.
I mean, I like, kudos to Robert Pattinson for, like, you know, going and doing that, but it doesn't mean that it was executed perfectly.
No, I mean, it could be worse. It could have been, like, I don't know, Tom Cruise or something.
Valkyrie.
Oh, God.
Now's the time I think we can kind of open up the floor if you guys have anything you'd like to discuss.
Well, I'm a little disappointed because we never got onto our favorite kill of the movie, which is that fucking seagull for sure. That is a brutal
kill.
Was
brutal.
Oh my God. I was jarred.
I know.
Like, that never happens to me, but the fact, like, when it happened, like, the first 2 seconds, like, when he kind of just, like, took it and, like, smacked it or whatever, I was like, oh, God. Oh, but I get it. But then it went on for, like, literally, like, 40 seconds, and I was just like, every whack that he did of that, I know it's not a real bird, but, like, obviously, the magic of cinema, it looks like a goddamn real bird, and every whack that he took, I just was like, oh my God, like, this is making me more uncomfortable, but which is obviously, like, it's supposed to be very unsettling, and I think it did such a good job. Like, that bird kill scene, honestly, it probably is one of the best scenes of the movie. It's very startling.
It is like it's 40 minutes into the movie, so it's not the midpoint, but it's literally like right from that moment onward, it's just like everything changes. Like the camera literally pans up the lighthouse and shows like the wind instrument on top, and it goes from one way to the the other. It's like
to the north, and he says, "You changed the wind."
Yeah, like the winds have changed. Like the storm is coming. Yeah, it's like
it's happening. Like batten down the hatches, literally. Like.
Yep.
It was brutal. Although I will say my favorite kill was definitely the seagulls getting their revenge.
Oh yeah, that is
yes.
quite the final like image. Like both of his movies have a really good like last image to them. Like you know, when she's floating up into the air and the witch, and then this one is like this is why it like kind of cemented the Promethean idea to me, because Prometheus literally stole fire from the gods from Zeus
and got eaten by birds.
Yeah, he literally gets chained to a rock, and like his punishment is to get his liver eaten out by an eagle every single day, and then it grows back,
Every day,
right?
Yeah.
So it's very
I
like
thought that was
reminiscent
so
of that.
on the nose. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so on the nose, and I think literally when he's getting buried alive, he says something like, you know, I curse you to a Promethean fate or something like that. Like,
oh,
you know,
he says He does say no. He talks about the like Promethean sludge or something.
Something,
I think.
yeah.
But
it's
he
when
does.
he's in his
I
mouth
did
full of
notice
dirt.
that he literally says it twice.
Oh,
and I was
twice?
like, he makes two references within about 30 seconds to Promethean whatever.
Okay.
And I noticed that. I was like, you're really hitting the Prometheus thing home. Like you're making sure that it does not go over anybody's head who's watching this movie.
Yeah,
I feel like it was Promethean sludge, but it could have been something else. But it was something to that tune. It was very much
I thought they were just big Ridley Scott fans.
Oh my god,
boo!
That's a bad joke.
Boo!
But yeah,
you're fired, Ro. You're fired.
The first time I watched the movie, that was the only thing I took away from it, because I couldn't make out, you know, the moment where he reveals, like, hey, I let my foreman die in Canada, I took his identity, and I came down here, type of thing. I couldn't make that out in the theater when I watched it the first time, so, like, I left the movie, my friend Merrick, he was like, yeah, like, that was awesome, like, that was really good, and I was like, yeah, I couldn't really, like, what happened? Like, was it just an adaptation of Prometheus, like, for the last, like, 10 minutes or 15 minutes? And he thought I was talking about the Ridley Scott movie. I was like, no, the myth! like, oh my god. Yeah.
Did you never take a classics course?
Yeah, really, though. But yeah, I mean, the second time I watched it, I was like, how did I even miss this? It, like, literally, like, dollies into his face as he's, like, pouring his soul out for, like, I don't know, 2 minutes or something. I was like, man.
And the, like, bird shit and everything all over him, like, it's so well done. Oh my god.
It's gross.
Like, it's so disturbing. It's so brilliant. Like,
it's not Robert Pattinson, though. It's a body double.
Ugh.
They revealed that in the Q&A.
He's got a body double, and they don't even show dong. Like, come on.
Should have had one of
Robert
the
Eggers,
seagulls
show
picking at it
dong.
or something.
Yeah, no, it's already gone. That was the first thing they ate. They were like, Pattinson dong, we're on it.
Oh, God.
I have a really random question. The like well thing, I guess, that the other bird was in, what was he putting into that water?
Chalk.
Chalk, yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. That was the thing they used back in the day instead of like chlorine, apparently.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like was for cleaning the drinking water, because remember he's pumping it out and it comes out muddy, and that's why he went in there, and then he found the dead bird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's for toasting right at the beginning of the movie. It's like to show like, oh, he's not gonna drink on the job. So it's like, he drinks the water and he's like, oh, this is sour, and they talk about the cistern needs tending to, do that tomorrow. And then eventually it's the payoff of the bird or the bloodied water with the bird in it.
I feel like that might have been said before I put the subtitles on, and I totally missed that.
Yeah, it doesn't say like if it's chalk or not, but I think it's just literally something I stumbled across
tonight.
I
it was something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it is very powdery, because I love that shot of him dumping it in the first time, and when it's showing the like, because I actually wrote a note about it. I was like, that shot of it like just sort of like swimming around on the surface and making like an oil slick texture, and I was looking at it and I'm like, I know that like there's nothing ominous happening here, and I thought this was the brilliance of Robert Eggers, and like similar to like The Witch. Nothing happens, but like everything is really ominous, and like I was like, that swirling pattern on the water to me was like, oh man, like this is oh no, I got a bad feeling about this, right? Like it really made me uneasy, and I'm like, it's just like whatever it was. I knew it was like a version of chlorine, you know, on the surface, but like, man, like that shit is fucking ominous and oppressive.
And I was going to say, the very beginning, that's the only reason I knew, because at the very beginning, when you see them kind of switching rotations, there's like a really quick shot where you see the bag, and it says like,
Chalk.
Okay.
But you don't see the end. You see like CHAU, I think. So yeah, that's why I was like assuming. I'm like, unless there's another word that.
No, it is chalk. I read it somewhere for sure. The other thing like we gotta quickly discuss is that when he finally gets up to the lighthouse, like that scene is like pretty insane when he gets up there and it opens up for him and like
that I just thought that one
man.
shot of like the little like gate or whatever opening up.
Yeah.
Woof, I was like, I don't even know why I wasn't expecting that, but it just like, it took my breath away for a moment. I'm like, like gasped.
It does it all by itself, and like it's just this beautiful light, and it just opens up very slowly. Like it's just unnerving once again, but like when he like reaches in and the way like what they do with the film where they overexpose it like in his eyes and his mouth, it's so horrifying.
And he goes from his face being like almost like black with the blood and dirt to like just completely washed out.
Yeah, and then all of the audio gets distorted when he's screaming, and like it's
and you can see right into his goddamn mouth. Like you can see his like uvula and everything, and I'm like, holy shit, it's so intense. Yeah, like it's so
shit.
Fuck.
That might be honestly, my favorite scene.
Because we keep funny, it's because we talked about the like classical references and like The Shining, and I'm like, there's a little bit of Virginia Woolf in here too, because we you know, as book nerds, maybe have not read Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse, but I have read it several times, and I love it, and it's just so funny because it's such like it's my reference for everything in terms of like, because like the whole book they're trying to like get to the lighthouse, and in this whole movie he's trying to get to the top of the light of the lighthouse, right? And I just thought it was like maybe another, I want to like Google it and like find some interviews with him and stuff and just see if, you know, that was like, how can you have something called The Lighthouse and not have that reference? But anyway, I love that. I'm just throwing out there Virginia Woolf. I have to say it because she's my girl. Boom, done. There we go, we can move on.
Yeah, just the hard cut away from him screaming to slipping, and then Rowan mentioned the audio design of this movie. There's a distinct crack of like that he fucked up his leg, like he broke his leg, which also kind of goes back to the thing of like Willem Dafoe tells 2 or 3 stories about his leg, about how it got, and
that
he
are
basically
inconsistent.
says like, and he says like, oh, you're a liar about it. So it's like it goes back to like it could be the same person once again.
Okay,
right?
this is like blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like this weird time, like almost like the Terminator, like Willem Dafoe as him coming back and like dealing with it, like trying to make him deal with the past, like consequences. Yeah.
Well, and that kind of makes sense because like time is obviously a really big aspect.
It's a huge,
yeah. And I mean, I saw lightning in the movie, so it's very possible that William Dafoe arrived naked.
Yeah. You got to find that little like weird dish that always happens in the ground when they touch down in Terminator. Like there's always like a weird.
There's the shot of Willem Dafoe walking naked with his eyes lit up.
Terminator. Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, so this is it. We have cracked this movie open. The Lighthouse is actually like a backdoor Terminator sequel. I'm telling you right now, and I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, yep, it could happen. I really truly, yeah.
All right, I want a video essay, Mike.
Okay, we're doing it. This is episode whatever 0.5 is going to be me taking an edible and then
I want you to make the point that the Lighthouse is bridging the Terminator timeline as well as the Prometheus timelines together.
Oh my god. Everyone talks about Alien versus Predator, but they never talk about Alien versus Terminator. He did it. Robert Eggers is literally MCUing like our independent horror film.
I mean, I'd be down for an A24 cinematic universe.
But... Absolutely. Well, I mean, you know, you're talking about like him and Ari Aster.
Yeah.
There we go. Like let's get him in on this, and we'll have this like branching like sequel franchise.
I'm all for it. So are you guys ready to rate this bad boy?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
All right, so why don't we start with you, Mike?
I'm gonna give this, honestly, a slay, because I really fucking enjoyed it. Like I was saying to Colton earlier, I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to watch it several times, actually, because I know, like I was saying, I want to luxuriate in it. I was too busy just sort of like trying to keep track of what was happening the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And even doing that, I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. And so I know like when I can sit down and I know what happens and I can kind of just piece everything together, and there's some weird sound. Something just hit my window. I don't know if it's snow or a person, but anyway.
Or a seagull.
So, yeah, no. A seagull just hit my window. I'm going to go outside and get my guts unpacked by by birds. No, but like I truly I feel like I don't want to say I like it more than The Witch, but I almost do, because I feel like the aesthetic of it kind of leaped forward. Like you could tell that he's like I can't wait to see what the aesthetic of his next movie is going to be, because I feel like visually he's really like refining his craft.
Yeah.
And so in that way I almost like it more than The Witch, and I love The Witch, so it's an easy slay for me. I can't wait to watch it again. Like truly, I might even get up tomorrow morning and just like pour up a pot of coffee and just stick it on in the background. And
you forgot to add that it's also just like a visual Mike thirst trap.
Well, there are some problems with it, but that's any movie, really. Stop cutting out the nude scenes, man. Jesus.
Colton, why don't we go to you next?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much on board with Mike, although I can easily say I enjoy this more than The Witch. Like, don't get me wrong, when we were on here last time, I like The Witch. I think The Witch is still a great movie, but I didn't give it a slay. This, for me, is, like, undoubtedly a slay. Like I said, the first time I watched it, I had some reservations about it because I missed key plot points. But no, every single time I rewatch this, I love it. I think it's way more rewatchable than The Witch 2. It's not like so dour and serious. You got all that comedy in there. And like I said, it's actually funny. Like, it hits. Now, I don't know if this is 100% a horror movie. Like, The Witch is very clearly a horror movie. This is, I don't know, I never found it that frightening for most of it. But yeah, no, I love this movie. And yeah, it's definitely a slay for me, because like a slay movie for me is like one that it's benefits by talking about it, by like watching video essays about it. Like, this is something like would make sense to me if it was studied in film school. Like, all of the craft is just so meticulous, and plus the story, even though it's not like buttoned down 100% exactly what is going on, the fact that you can kind of like pick at it and come up with so many different theories and different reasons for the movie, like, that makes it an easy slay for me.
Yeah, and you can have fun talking about it. It's not just something that's like, academic.
Yeah.
Because like good movies that are just sort of purely academic can be very boring. But this, like, hello, you can actually like really play with it. It's like Play-Doh, you know what I mean? Like, you can have a really good time with it and do all sorts of different shit. And I think that's why, it succeeds.
It's so academic, but also like full of like fart jokes and
exactly.
Masturbation and stuff. Like it's
truly it walks a fine line, and it does it so well. It just it really
which are amazing when you have the subtitles on and it just says like fart sound.
Oh God.
Yes, 100% watch this movie with subtitles, please. God. Like, you will, even if you're Atlantic Canadian, watch it with subtitles, dear God.
So, I'm gonna go next, because we have to make Colton wait in anticipation for Xylia's review.
Anticipation?
That's right. So, I am gonna give it a very strong yay, not a slay.
I'm shocked you slay everything, Rowan. What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
I know. I feel like this will be my replacement for my controversial Mandy choice. I really, really like this movie, but I don't think I like it better than The Witch. I fucking love The Witch.
Fair.
And I just couldn't put it on the same thing, because I was like, if I had to pick, if I was gonna show someone one of these films, it would be The Witch.
Okay.
Even though I know probably more people would like this more than The Witch. I think this has a lot more mass appeal, like you said, with like the comedy. I think just the interesting way that it's filmed.
It does have the more like Hollywood style cast too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, maybe just a little more accessible than The Witch was, especially where The Witch used like language of the time, but yeah, I couldn't do it, but I will give it like a strong yay. I did really, really like this. I'm sure I'll watch this multiple times because it's definitely just rewatchable. And I think if you're looking for something to get out of your mind and watch, this is the movie to do it to.
Are you gonna do mushrooms and watch it?
This is probably
highly inadvisable.
It's definitely
I feel like you'd be tripping balls.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things that would send someone over the edge. Maybe.
Well, let's find out.
Okay, you do that. That'll be the sequel to this episode. You on mushrooms rewatching this movie. Live stream. It'll be a live episode.
Maybe this time he'll give it a slay.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, a strong yay for me.
Oh no, it's fine, man. I'm just kidding.
No, he's not.
Xylia, we're waiting.
I don't know why you build this up so much, but so I had mixed emotions before I saw it. I really wanted to see it because it was filmed here, but I also saw The Witch, or at least I saw the first 20 minutes about 5 times, and it has gotta be the most boring movie I've ever seen in my life. So I was going in thinking that I was gonna be excited and then end up really bored, but I actually really liked it, and I wasn't bored at all, and I didn't fall asleep. I was wide awake the whole time.
I'm gonna say you fall asleep during a lot of movies, even ones you like, so that's saying something.
It is.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This one is, it's pretty slow for probably an hour and 15 minutes, I'd say, out of the hour 40.
Yeah, I don't know what... I feel like I had more of a connection with this one because it's from here, and because also, like, this scenery is, like, bleak Atlantic Ocean rock, which is, like, reminds me of here, reminds me of Newfoundland, and I feel like there's, like, a certain kind of beauty to that. So I was invested in that way, and then it kind of, like, allowed me to be open to enjoying the story. But I would actually give this movie a slay.
Wow. This is great. What a comeback for The Witch.
Yeah.
Right? I am shook. Absolutely shook.
From the most boring movie to a slay. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what she gives his next film.
Yeah, like, I don't even know if we'll ever cover the next one, because the next one's like a Norse revenge
story,
movie. Yeah, it's called the Norseman, I think. And it actually has Willem Dafoe and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah. And Nicole Kidman.
I mean, I'll probably see that one at TIFF, if the world ever gets back to normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if that'll be horror.
If not, you'll watch it at online TIFF.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The world may never be the same. So that was what we thought of the film. Now it's time to see what you guys thought of the film.
So we got a reply from our faithful listener, McKill_426. And she said, she sent 2 messages actually. She said, I hope you guys are going to have a go at singing the sea shanty.
Oh no.
I don't know any of the words to the sea shanty.
I don't want to be the only one.
I'm going to require the moonshine that they were clearly drinking to do that.
I'm not going to be the only one to sing.
Toilet moonshine is what I need.
Give us a little preview, Xylia.
No.
Oh, look, we can...
I'm not a singer.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it, because especially at the end, like when it's the actual song, because I was like, oh, this is just such like traditional Atlantic Canadian music. It's great. Yeah, no, I can't by myself. But
how about this? We won't do it in the episode. I will promise I'll do it with Xylia, like on an Instagram story.
Okay.
There you go.
That's a good compromise. And then she said, also loved the almost square format. Feels like you're watching a series of vignettes.
Yeah, it's something too that it just feels really confined and constrained to the space. Like the way it's framed is like the walls are on both sides of the shot so often. It's just... Man, oh man, it just adds to it all together. I mean, it's also probably more accurate for the time that it was probably 35mm, closer to square movies back then.
Yes,
but,
yeah.
That's something I honestly didn't even notice.
That's how
consciously.
How well the film is made.
Yeah.
It is that time to get into the budget game. If you're new to listening to us, that's where I know what it costs and how much it made. And Xylia and Mike and our lovely friend Colton will battle to the death. And I mean, Colton will be the only one that survives, so...
He probably already knows the answer.
I was going to say, let's face it, this is a battle royale. And by the way, I just have to throw out there that the Lighthouse in this reminded me of the Lighthouse scenes in the film Battle Royale. I'm just saying, for anybody who loves that movie, lighthouses are always creepy and full of violence.
Annihilation. I think Annihilation has a good lighthouse.
Literally.
Scene.
Oh my god. Thank you for bringing that up, because it's literally my notes right here. It says... Cinematic lighthouses are fucking unsettling, Annihilation, and Battle Royale.
There you go.
My two... I just... So that's why I think right from the get-go, this had me kind of on edge and my hair standing on end. Yeah.
So we'll start with what it costs. Colton's the guest, so we'll let him take a swing.
I'm gonna guess 11 million.
All right. Mike, how about you?
I'm gonna guess 11,000,001. No, I'm kidding.
Go for it.
I'll go like 15 million.
15 million.
I feel like buying all that film was real expensive.
No, yeah.
I'm gonna say 13.3 million.
So Colton is the closest.
What a surprise!
Really? What was it?
4 million.
What?
Oh my god! Wow!
It
looks so good.
I know A24 is like a smaller production, but I just, for some reason, I thought like he would have got a really big bump after The Witch, was kind of what I was thinking, right?
Yeah,
and they had to build a whole lighthouse, right? But
yeah,
wow.
And the coup of that cast, right?
Yeah,
yeah, jeez. All right.
Good for him. Seriously, that's like some fucking good-looking movie for that shitty of a budget.
Exactly. Look at the other garbage that we've watched that's like more than that.
It has cost 5 times more than that, yeah.
Yep.
That's like the price of the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, we'll go with what it made now. Xylia, why don't you take a crack?
Is this just in theaters?
I'd say it's probably the total.
Maybe like $15 million. That's probably highball, but...
All right, how about you,
no
Colton?
idea.
I'll go $26 million.
26. And Mike?
I'm gonna go with like a nice 18 mil.
Okay.
Definitely 18 mil. I feel like it probably made a bit of money.
Mike is gonna take it. 18.3 million.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
He has the Wikipedia open.
How dare you? I like being a loser, okay?
I'm kidding.
Still pretty good. That's still over 4 times its budget.
No, that's great. I'm glad.
I mean, I'm still in shock about...
To be fair, I was just trying to go, like, literally midway between your two guesses.
I'm just still in shock that it only cost 4 million to make.
It's, I don't care how talented you are, to take that little money, and even though, I mean, obviously the sets on this, like, were relatively minimal, even if you had to, build a whole lighthouse or whatever, but, like, you're not doing, like, all these like insane expansive pieces, and I know the cast is limited, but still for it to look that good.
Yeah, that shocks me. I guess the one thing that's coming to mind is like I know lighting's expensive, and I think in black and white you might be able to get away with a little bit harsher lighting than in color, maybe.
True,
and then also you got the factor in like the color grading and all that stuff too. But I mean, it shouldn't account for that much. Low ball for this movie, I would have been like it's 8 or 9 million for sure.
Yeah. Definitely at least twice as much as they spent on it. Like, it's shocking.
Crazy.
Also, it was filmed in Canada, so like there's the currency conversion as well, and I feel like that probably plays a role.
Yeah. True, because it'd be
they
4
get
million
more.
Yeah.
Well, they get more money.
And I was gonna say, I would suspect, like, at that kind of price point, like, Pattinson and Defoe must have done, like, took a pay cut just to work with them.
I would guess that it had to be to work with them for sure. Like, I just don't understand, right? Those guys.
Well, I mean, and look at that cast for like the next movie. You can tell that like with every successive release, people are like chomping at the bit to get in on this because they're like, this is somebody who we want to get in on the ground floor with, and like, oh look, I was in his 3rd movie before he won an Oscar or whatever.
When you mentioned chomping at the bit, I have to mention in the Q&A, Willem Dafoe talked about the dirt eating scene.
No.
He basically, they were kind of talking about how he's like an old, like 70 or 80-year-old man, and he was forced to crawl around on all 4s on this harsh terrain. But also, they did the dirt eating scene twice, and it was actual dirt they were
I was
shoveling into him.
I was wondering about it.
It wasn't like cake or like brownies or anything like that, and it was literally like, he's like, oh no, like it was in my mouth and my eyes and everything.
Willem Dafoe, pure method.
Yeah.
Just throw the dirt right in my fucking mouth.
100%. 100%. I was gonna say, like, I had read too that Pattinson had like stayed in the hotel with the cast and crew, and I saw that Dafoe actually the entire time slept in like a decrepit fisherman shanty, and of
course he did.
Like
he looked like it. I'm not gonna lie, he looked like it. I know they probably had some good makeup artists, but goddamn, he looked like he was sleeping in a shack.
I was just reading, like, they said that like they basically offered him a way nicer room than Patterson, and he's like, no, I like really want to get into the character, so I just want to stay in this like broken down shanty.
Yeah, it was something too that was asked, because they have so much like camaraderie, and I mean there's even a bit of like romance or attraction at points in the movie for sure, that like people were asking if they were like friendly to each other on set, and they were like literally like, oh no, like we didn't even talk to each other or socialize at all, like never grabbed a drink, never did anything until press tour. So like all of it was just literally like they never even met each other before. They just came in and did this like balls to the wall crazy movie together, and they were just like, yeah, you know, we're just professionals, was kind of the answer. And I was like, man, oh man, that's wild. Like, I believe,
you know, and it's just so funny because that's so method. It's like, we don't want to come to set and be buddies and then pretend like you just met and you're having this weird prickly relationship. Like, no, you're coming on and you're having this weird prickly relationship with a stranger and getting to know them as you're filming, which is also like as the narrative is happening. And I think that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
So we will quickly get into our shameless promotion time. As always, make sure to follow us on all our social media at It Slays Podcasts. Feel free to leave a star and text review wherever you review your podcasts, and we'll read it on the podcast, and hopefully it makes fun of Mike. If you want some merch,
we do love that.
We do love it. If you want some merch, shirts, tote bags, masks for COVID, you can go to Redbubble. You can just search It Slays Podcast, or go to redbubble.com/itslayspodcast/shop and order your stuff there. Also, make sure to go to Spotify at the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist, where we always upload music from the movies that we've watched and horror movies we love. And if you enjoy what you hear, feel free to sign up for our Patreon, which I have finally decided to stop neglecting and make time every week to actually post things. The biggest issue has been the learning curve. I'm just like learning how to actually upload things on Patreon, but I think I have it now. So
it's definitely a weird system for sure, and they're always updating it as well. So even like what I would have known, like, well, I guess almost 2 years ago now, it's just probably applicable.
They've totally changed even in the last couple months. But we do have some stuff that hopefully this week we will be getting up there. I know I have a cool Halloween, like the whole series review coming, where I'm gonna rank them and probably cause controversy. Also, Colton, is there anything you want to promote or give your socials?
I mean, just once again, thanks for having me on. I mean, especially for your second 2-year anniversary episode. I mean, it's a big deal as someone who used to host a podcast. I mean, some of us only make it 6 months. So the fact that you guys got 2 years, like that's amazing. Like that's excellent.
We got to have you back sooner than a year.
I know. I was like, I can't think of anybody other than Cess that I want to have on more.
Well, I mean, I'll take the invitation whenever you find something weird to talk about. I'll be on. But yeah, no, I don't have too much to promote. I mean, my actual day job requires me to be on social media and creating content for that. So, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at CJE Simpson. But honestly, I don't post too much anymore. Letterboxd is my main jam, and that is a dumb name. XCJES is the name on my letterbox, but I literally update that every single time I watch a movie. So.
Oh, that's good. I actually just decided that since we're using Letterboxd more now, to reactivate my old account from like 5 years ago that I never used. So
dude,
I will follow you.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I log every single movie for, I don't know, it's been like 5 or 6 years now, so I love the thing.
And I trust your judgment, obviously.
Thank you.
You have never pointed me wrong. Like, you've never steered me wrong. Like, in all the years that you've been talking about movies.
I'm glad to hear it.
You're one of my, like, you're my lighthouse. You're one of my lighthouses.
So sweet.
That's all I'm saying, yeah.
Now you guys just need the slow dance.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, we gotta do that thing, like, in the movie where they're, like, slow dancing and then you think they're gonna kiss and they start punching each other.
Oh, yeah. Beat up each other.
I'm like, fucking kiss, you cowards! Like, I'm just saying, I was messaging a friend of mine that has seen this already earlier, and he's like, there's like 8 points in this movie when they should be kissing and they don't.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of homoerotic
100%.
Yeah, there really
for
is.
sure. Yeah. And I don't think it's unintentional either. I think it's...
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no sub to that text, that's for sure.
No.
So now we're going to get into the moment everyone has been waiting for. Our very first It Slays podcast giveaway. A friendly reminder, you know, if you're listening, you're trying to find out if you won, to remind you what you're getting.
Yeah, so, thanks, Rowan. So there's a few things. So basically one is a tote bag with It Slays podcast logo on it. It's on the front and the back, which is lovely. Great for being environmentally friendly.
It's the totes are very high quality.
It's really nice. I'm not just saying that. Like, it's actually really nice.
I'm a huge tote bag person. I have like 20 of them in my porch closet. And the ones from Redbubble are literally the best tote bags I've ever bought.
You can drink wine right out of them.
Yeah.
You can just tilt it, yeah.
We also have VHSs of The Faculty and Scream, compliments of Rowan's lovely treasure hunting adventures of Value Village. We have How to Survive a Horror Movie, and I believe it's by Seth Grahame-Smith. And I think the foreword's by Wes Craven, so that's a book.
Yeah, Seth Grahame-Smith, I think he wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Rowan chose it chapter 2, so you're gonna get a DVD of that.
And be on the lookout for his face.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I'm not gonna lie, I took the wrapper off of it for the picture so it wasn't reflecting, so it's not used or anything. I just took the wrapper off. Same with the Blu-ray, so you're gonna get a copy. What is it, the Scream Factory of it? My Bloody Valentine, also filmed in Nova Scotia. A Friday the 13th magnet that's pretty sweet. And also, you are going to get, basically there is a woman who turns out she lives like basically in our apartment building, and we didn't know. She listens to the podcast. Her name's Made by Jody666, and
that's not like her given name.
No, that's not like what her parents named her.
It's on her birth certificate.
Yeah,
she was baptized 666.
Maid's her first name. So we had actually met her at a farmer's market when we first moved here, and she does these little like crochet horror things. So I contacted her and I asked her, I was like throwing around a couple ideas, and we decided that she would make the clamshell e-reader.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from It Follows. And so not only did she do that, and like basically the faces have It Slays podcast embroidered, and then the bottom is like her logo, but she put a light in it that can turn on and off, so it like illuminates the screen.
Cool. Oh my god.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. So like, thank you so much. That
one of a kind piece.
It is a one of a kind piece. Like that every time I look at it, I'm like, that mustn't have been easy to make. So with the exception of Friday the 13th, everything is related to movies we've reviewed.
Yeah.
Over the past 2 years. So, Colton is going to do the honors of...
So remember, if you don't win, he gave you all his social stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Come hate on me.
Just slide in those DMs, not in a good way.
He's going to choose a number between 1 and 152.
So I'm gonna choose 90, and it's because I just went and looked at the Rotten Tomatoes for the Lighthouse, and it's a 90%.
Nice.
So,
nice.
90.
Well done.
The winner is SpookyHag_, and she
all right. Well done.
entered on Instagram. So yay! Congratulations.
Everybody follow SpookyHag_.
Yeah. So I will contact you. You'll probably definitely know that you won before this episode, but yeah, yay, that's exciting.
That is very exciting.
Yeah, so excited.
So exciting. Before I announce what we're going to be reviewing for our next episode, I'm going to make an announcement. So my announcement is to celebrate our going into our 2nd year of podcasting. Every pick from me for the rest of the year is actually going to be a double feature.
Oh God, poor Mike.
Poor.
Yeah. He only told me this last night and I had words.
Trust me, it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm here for the punishment. I live for it. I'm a masochist, so.
So my pick will be not just 1, but 2 of the Leprechaun.
Oh, God.
Yes.
I can't believe you did this to me.
Buckles on me shoes.
Xylia is low-key excited for this.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the first one.
Yeah, we're gonna get all that Warwick Davis.
Excellent.
The excitement in the room.
Yeah, I wish you guys all the best. I'm not coming on for that one.
Mike's like, yeah, me either.
Colton's like, I would love to come back anytime, just not in the next one.
Not for the Leprechaun.
Call me when you're back in your right mind.
That is my pick. I'm super excited. I'll let you know all the stories of my childhood in this movie in that episode.
I can't wait to unpack the trauma that you obviously experienced.
That's right.
Look forward to it.
But I think that is everything. Thank you for all the continued support. It is the end of our 2-year anniversary episodes. That's okay, because we're getting right into it with the Leprechaun. So starting the 2nd year with a bang. And thank you to Colton for popping by. You have to be on more often.
I'll be back whenever you guys fire me a message, as long as it's not the Leprechaun, I guess. But no, thank you so much for having me.
Now I just really want you to come on for Leprechaun. Honestly, I'm saying it right now. Let's extend this to the Leprechauns. No, dead serious. I'm saying right now, we are keeping you. It's in your contract now. I think Colton should extend his residency to the double feature Leprechaun. I'm actually looking forward to this. Let's do it. I'm throwing that out there. I'm roping him in right now.
All right, I'll do it if I have to, I guess.
Let's do it, seriously.
We'll chat.
Yep.
Colton's reaching for his internet box right now to unplug it.
No, listen, we did our A24s. I want to hear the Leprechaun Colton
the critical breakdown
yes.
of the Leprechaun.
This is all I want. This is how I want to start year 3.
All right.
Honestly, yeah.
If you guys will have me, I'll come back for the fucking Leprechaun,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. This is iconic behavior. Legendary.
So I think that is everything. As always, I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Xylia.
It's Mike, see ya.
Bye.
And it's not COVID Colton, it's, I don't know, Cannibal Colton or any other alliteration you can think of. I don't know.
See you later.
Oh my God. Those movies are fucking terrible, guys.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!